Welcome to Creating Connections Podcast, episode 139. I am Mitch Taylor.
And I'm Vicki Musney.
And today we get to speak to amazing coach, Jason Jones.
He is a certified business coach, speaker, and corporate trainer who is committed to helping solo entrepreneurs hit their first six figures and beyond. Yes, I'm in that club of people who are shooting for that goal. As a trainer, he helps leadership teams learn critical coaching skills to maximize engagement and growth in their teams and chapters. His previous startup ventures involved communications, media, and entertainment. His last company, which he sold, went global in 2 years and now serves the US, Canada, Australia, and the UK. Jason is certified by the Royal Roads University and the International Coaching Federation. His coaching and training programs focus on the implementation of proven business tactics and support necessary to develop entrepreneurs for a lifetime of success. And isn't that what we're all shooting for? A lifetime of success.
Please welcome Jason Jones to the show right after the break.
That was nice and easy.
What are you talking about? This also speaks to a much bigger issue.
Providing personal solutions through understanding people. This is the Creating Connections podcast with Gitomer Certified Advisor Mitch Taylor and Certified Personality Trainer Vicki Musney.
Welcome back to Creating Connections, episode 139. I am Mitch Taylor.
And I'm Vicki Musney.
And today we're here with our friend, our guest, and coaching hour extraordinaire, Jason Jones. Welcome, Jason.
Hey, hi. Oh, this is so much fun to be here and be a part of your podcast.
It's just great to have you. It's great to see you, even though it's over video. It's been a long time since we've seen you and talked with you.
Yeah, this is super fun. Yay for technology.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, Jason is the coach. He's a great coach, a business coach that can help you get more out of your business. One of the best things that I've learned from Jason is listening.
Yes.
And you did an amazing seminar at a conference we were a part of, oh gosh, back in May, I believe it was. And you spoke about listening. And that's really, man, I can't stress enough how important that is. Can you expand on some of the things you covered at the conference back in May so that our listeners get some of that benefit?
Yeah, well, let's talk about that. It's one of my favorite subjects. And the funny thing about it that really strikes me is that, you know, as the response that the just the kind of knee-jerk response when you bring this up, and as far as like being a business differentiator or even in sales and all that, and the typical response is, oh yeah, listening, yeah, I do that. Now tell me what to say to have what I want them to do. And I'm like, okay, let's try this again. So if you really listen, so with that being said, and understanding that that's really where most everybody comes from, and I'm not making people bad and wrong, because like I would say that's a human response.
Yes.
Yes,
I agree.
We're conditioned, and we're all thinking it's all about what I say and everything about how I say it and how it comes out, and that's important. I'm going to take that away. However, more important than that is your ability to actually like knowing what to say. It comes from your ability to listen. And
well, I think, is it because it's so basic, Jason? Because it's people confuse listening with hearing?
I think so.
And they just think, oh, I do that?
Yep. It's like, oh yeah, I hear, I'm fine. I'm good. I got it. You know, and the other thing is like what we don't think about. So here's the things that we don't think about when it comes to listening. We don't think about all the distractions that are going on that are getting in the way of our listening. And I'm not talking about your phone. And I'm not talking about the conversation happening at the table next to you or the ambient sound. I'm talking about everything that's internal.
Yes, up here.
The distractions that are happening up here, which is the conversation you're having with the ego in your head, which is that little voice that we either have a lot of conversations with or we don't, but it's always there talking to us. You know, it's probably, in fact, I would even say if you just get really quiet, like while you listen to this conversation or just kind of tune in, you'll hear that voice saying like, do I believe him? Have I seen these guys before? Oh, it's good to see them. Like, oh, does she always wear polka dots? Like there's this dialogue that's like always running in your head about like what's happening, judging and assessing and things like that. And there are ways that you can manage that in terms of developing your ability to be present. And not only that, but just like, when we look at like brain science, you know, everybody always talks like be present, be present. The ability to be present is virtually impossible for human beings on a neurological level. Our brains are either thinking about the past or planning for the future. And we're bouncing back and forth to actually like really say, I am really being here present 100%. Is almost impossible for a human being to do. Now that said,
I'm like, there's no hope, Jason.
Yeah, I know. It sounds like I thought this was going to be like a
terrible.
The light at the end of the tunnel
is
a train.
It's an oncoming train. Boom.
Oh.
I position it that way because I want you and I want everybody listening to recognize this is difficult. It requires practice to create mastery. You know, like even if we look at it and relate it to your event business, you know, I'd like the two of you to think how long it took you before you got to the point where when you were speaking to your groups at your events, that you got to that comfortable place where you confidently walked out, commanded the room, knew where you wanted to go, didn't get self-conscious, dealt with what needed to be dealt with, didn't get frazzled, you know? It's like you do that now after years and years and years of working and learning, oh, that didn't go well, and I won't do that again, and I'm going to be better at this, and I'm going to work at this, right? It was difficult. It doesn't mean it's impossible. It's difficult, but it takes specific attention rather than, oh yeah, listening. Yeah, okay, I can do that. I follow a conversation and that sort of thing. So positioning there is not to discourage everybody, but it's to say that it's worthy of, it takes more effort than you think to really do it. And the bonus of it all is that you discover worlds, you discover people, you really get people at depths that you never imagined possible, even out of small talk conversations, because you're really, really paying attention and trying to understand them.
I think that's the beauty.
It is interesting. Yeah. Go ahead, Mitch.
I think that's the beauty of this, in that if you aspire to not be living in the past or thinking about the future, if you aspire to be just connected, then you'll notice things that you never noticed before. Both listening with your ears, but also with your eyes, right?
Yeah.
How much more is nonverbal versus verbal in regards to listening? Is there a correlation there? Is there a difference there, Jason?
Tell me,
like with eye contact, is that what you're saying?
In other words, when you're having a conversation with someone, you can notice that even though they may be, I'll just share an example that happened today.
Yeah.
I was having a conversation with someone, and then I heard them become upset. And even though they said they were fine, their mannerisms still showed that they were living in that past of what just happened and the news they had just received that was sad. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So like you were picking up on
the nonverbal,
the nonverbal, their behavior and that sort of thing.
Yes.
And absolutely. So looking at this holistically, right? Like we're focusing on just like listening and hearing the words. But if we look at listening holistically, and they really put it into, I'm going to focus all my senses into trying to understand you. And what's key about like just trying to understand is that there's no judgment in that, right? So I'm not trying to figure you out. I'm not trying to figure out your agenda. I'm not trying to, see if I agree or if I need to, where I need to take you, or listen for if you say something that I'm really good at, that I should, I'm good at that. And let me tell you about that, right? All of that, if you're just like, I just want to understand like where you're coming from and what matters to you and what's important to you, and the way you think in your world, then you're putting that focus on that, then you're going to pick up all of it. You're going to pick up their nonverbal, right? Because all of your attention and energy is just trying to understand them over there, rather than thinking about what you're going to say, or how are you going to be clever, or I need a joke to follow that, or let me tell you a story. And that's the normal, that's baseline for human beings. Like, we as human beings, our normal place is listening to respond, which is like, oh, that reminds me of a story, Mitch. I'm going to wait till you're done talking. And now I'm going to talk and tell you my story. It's my turn to talk.
And that's what yellows are really, really good at, or bad at. I don't know how you want to phrase it. Yellows struggle with that, I think, even more than most other personality types, because of that piece in our brain and the way it's there.
Well, yellows love to share. Yeah. They love to share.
Yeah.
And share.
And we have so many stories.
Yes. And sharing is a beautiful thing. This isn't, this is good, that's bad. So let's just take out of this conversation entirely that there is a good and bad way to be about this. Let's just look at this in terms of like information, what's available if you do X. You know what I mean? And if you do Y, or you work at like really focusing on that listening, or really trying to focus on understanding another person. It was taught to me in coaching as 3 levels of listening, right?
Yes, you explained this at the seminar.
Yeah.
Can you
So I'd
briefly
like to
touch on those? Yeah.
In Milwaukee, when we presented it, there was a lot of people that were like, that really landed. Like, I really kind of got a context for how I listen, just out of how these 3 levels are laid out. So 3 levels are basically, they're pretty simple. It's the level of me, which is like, I need to get directions from you guys to get to a destination. All I need to do is hear my directions. I don't care about you or what, what your opinions, none of that. None of that matters. I just need information for me to get from point A to point B. Thanks a lot. I'm out of here. Okay. That's the only thing that listening is focused on. Then there's the level of we, which is where most of us are at. This is listening to respond. So I'm listening to you and I think, oh gosh, that reminds me of a story I can tell. And what our normal pattern is, well, first of all, we're having a conversation about like, what can I say? What can I say to that? How can I keep this going? What story could I tell is what we're like using part of our bandwidth for up here, so that we can jump in and then we can have our turn and we can share. And so it's like taking turns sharing. Like, have you ever had those conversations where you don't really have a conversation? You just keep telling each other stories that you remind each other of. But you never really have the same conversation. You just keep oh, that story reminds me of this. That story reminds me of this. And you go over there. And it's great fun. I won't take away the fun of that. I've had some of the best evenings with people enjoying them that way and experiencing that. However, that is like classic listening to respond. And then there's this another level, which is the 3rd level. That's the level of you. And that's where I, as the listener, put all of my effort into just understanding you and what you're trying to communicate to me, non-verbally, verbally, what the intention, like what's the motivation, like in a sales context, like what is the commitment beneath the words? You hear them saying this and that and that and the other thing. Like let's say it's about like, doing activities at a wedding reception, for example, we use that as an example.
Yeah.
And the client is saying things like, oh yeah, no, that's not really us. That's not really our thing. No, we're way low key. Like we just like it really mellow. We're just thinking like a really mellow thing. No, we're not really interested in a lot of involvement. What's the subtext under all that talk?
That they don't like that for some reason.
They don't like it. They're afraid of it. There's something that's turning them off about it.
Or they've had a bad experience with something like that.
And they're not. Yeah, go ahead.
So they've reframed it in their mind that I don't want that, but maybe they're not really getting it why.
So so they either they can't put a finger on it, so they're like just saying it in lots of different ways, or they just don't want to say, I saw someone totally humiliate somebody and I do not want that, and I associate that with any kind of activities. You know, so if you're listening to understand somebody, if you're listening to respond, you'd be like, check, I won't do that at your wedding. What else can we do? What else do you want? I'm going to take the order. How is that being, right? If you're listening on the level of you, then the follow-up question might be like, wow, you feel really strongly about that. Like, can you tell me, did you have a specific experience? Is there a specific reason that you feel so strongly about that? Because I'm picking up from you that you feel strongly, because you've said it in lots of different ways. It wasn't offhanded, right? All that is in the communication, you know? And then it's like, well, yeah. And then the story comes out, right? Oh, I saw
exactly.
And then you're like, got it. So if I were to share with you how I actually set up activities so that everyone is comfortable and it's a great experience for everyone and it's only relevant, would that be something you'd be interested in hearing?
That doesn't sound so bad. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, that would be great. Okay, so this is what I do. And at that point, it's like, well, I don't think that would be such a bad idea. I think that would be kind of cool. I think I might like that. But only that comes from listening to really understand where they're coming from and listening to what is the agenda, what's underneath the words. Because we even put too much emphasis on the specific language, you know. We're all trying to kind of figure out how to express what I'm trying to share and what I'm trying to say. And, you know, and especially Minnesota, people in Minnesota do not like to be direct about things. Maybe on the East Coast.
They're Minnesota nice.
Yeah, it's totally Minnesota nice. It's all
because they're like almost to Canada. Is that why?
I don't know. But having the skill of listening to what the commitment is under all the words actually really helps in Minnesota, right? It's like, okay, I'm getting a sense of this bush that you're beating around that you.
Okay, you know, interesting.
Let's explore this more.
Funny.
Let's go deeper with this.
It's true.
And as you just like, and as you listen on that level, that the actual act of listening on that level is a level of caring. It's really a level of love. I'm going to say the L word, okay? That freaks people out in business. Like love. Oh, there's no love in business. Well, you want love to be in their business. When you're working, when you're clients, you want them to love you. And so,
and Jason, it's interesting to me that you just brought that up, because I'm flashing back to having lunch with you at that conference in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And honestly, I can't even tell you what we talked about, but I remember feeling I have never been this heard before. Like, you do this. This isn't just something that you get up on a stage and talk about in a seminar, or something that you coach other people on how to do. You practice this. And what's that saying that people don't remember what you said, but they remember how you made them feel?
Yeah.
I felt heard. I felt listened to. I felt loved in that conversation, because you do this in real life. It has become a part of you. And it's sad to me how unique of an experience that is. That months later, I'm going, oh yeah, I remember that one time I had lunch with Jason, because it is so unique. It's so countercultural. And I think as a society, most people are not investing the kind of time and energy that you're saying is required to overcome the way our brains are wired and actually reach that third level of listening.
It's not even reaching it, right? Okay, so like, I mean, I am, you know, I'm really moved that I was able to give you that experience, and in that moment with you, focus to give you the experience of being listened to in that degree. That's my goal. But ask my wife how much I achieved. You know, what percent with listening with her, right? You know what I mean? It's like, or you know, so you know, it's like I acknowledge I do. I'm really pleased to hear that, and it's something that I work at all the time. It's like always at the gym. There is no level of nirvana. There's no I got this. I don't have to work at it anymore. It takes putting the active energy in it, just like we put the active energy into learning to speak well.
Well, maybe you were at the top of your game because you had just done that, hour-long seminar or whatever on listening, and you were like in the moment.
And there's a little bit of pressure when you just spent an hour telling everybody the power and the impact that this makes.
To do it right.
We're in a conversation to be like, huh? Were you talking? Is it my turn to talk now? Would be like, wow.
Sure.
But I'm glad that you shared that and your experience with that, because it's like when I've done workshops where it's a listening workshop and we just mock. So we're doing, so it's totally contrived and everybody knows. So it's like, okay, now like don't listen at all. Think about other stuff. Look at your phone. Just tell your story. What's the impact? Now hang in every word. So this is a contrived exercise, right? And what the response people say that when they're really listened to and the other person puts that much effort into it, they go, I feel like love. I feel like I'm mad, or I feel like I want to hang out with this person. I like this person. And they didn't do, as we would consider, anything, but they gave them the gift of all of their energy, all of their attention, all the focus was like really put on them and understanding them. Because there's something else that's really important to this act of listening that is not just hanging on every word and listening, right? What really creates that experience of acceptance and love is to let go of the judging part, because we just do that. Don't make yourself wrong and bad. Our brains judge all the time. It's what keeps us alive. It's hardwiring, right? And so to actively say, I'm not going to judge anything that Vicki says. I'm just going to understand her situation, no matter how great or terrible or boring or exciting or uninteresting. I'm just really going to understand, and I'm going to keep just giving up the judgment of it. And the act of doing that creates the experience of like, you just accepted everything that I said, which is, again, an unusual experience. That isn't the norm. And the beautiful thing, of course, put it into practice. Like if you just take this on and say, I'm going to practice developing this ability, even if you only did it to like, I'm just going to use it in my sales meetings. That's it. And the rest of the time, I'm only going to half listen. But I'm really going to do it. So you put the effort into it, that is going to impact the relationship with the people that you have. They're going to impact the level of trust. It's going to impact the level of like how they feel, how they see you, right? Because you can say nothing and feel like you're the best conversationalist in the world. You're just totally awesome, right? Because you care. Because the other side of the coin is that what every human being shares is that they go through life wanting to be seen, heard, and understood. Been known in psychology for years. Everybody is craving to be seen and heard. And so, like, who is running around going, I want to see, hear, and understand you. Come and talk to me.
Well, you kind of brushed over it really quickly, but saying nothing in those situations can be so powerful. Just that pause and making sure that someone's finished their thought rather than waiting for them to breathe and then jumping in with your comeback. But just waiting.
Yeah. And and that's a really good practical application that you can share in terms of slow down, right? Just let a person work it out and just listen. That creates a space for them to get clear and think. And if there's anything that, and correct me if I'm wrong on the sales end of things, but if there's anything that is going to move you closer to a sale, it's helping them get clear on what they want.
A confused mind always says no.
Yeah. Right?
Always.
Yeah.
If you can help them and you can create that space with your listening and how you listen, because you just really want to understand them, which is filling a very deep need.
I think the biggest powerful thing for me anyway, out of this, Jason, is what you just said a few minutes ago. And that was, people have that innate desire to be seen, heard, and understood. And if you want to truly separate yourself from anyone else out there, there's plenty of ways that people are being seen and heard with today's social media. Vicki did that seminar at Mobile Beat last year, Rise Above the Noise. And if you truly want to rise above the noise, understand your clients, the other person, because everyone else is being seen and being heard in many different ways.
Yeah.
Not
Truth.
everyone else is
being understood.
Great.
Well, and it's really like to be, I don't know how many sales books I've seen of really successful salespeople that say, listen your way to the sale. And only until I did coaching training did I actually understand, that's what you're talking about. Because before coaching training, I'm like, I think I listen good. I get excited about what they tell me, and then I tell them my story all excitedly.
Right.
But I'm not really present because I'm having a conversation in my head. We all have so much. It's like our brains, we have a certain processor speed, use a computer analogy, right? And so we can only process so much before that's all that's going to get processed. So if we're having the conversation with ourselves and we're thinking about tomorrow and the stuff we got to do and worrying about this, and the conversation that we had with our spouse earlier is kind of gnawing at us and what we should do there and that indecision, and we're trying to have a conversation and be with us and think of something fun and clever to say, that process is going to meet its limit. It's going to like, boom, this is as many clock speed as it goes. There's no more, and you're filling it up. And what can open that up for you so that you can actually get more of the other person is by letting go of, practicing not feeding the energy. So don't engage when that little voice says to you, is he going to stop talking soon? If you don't say, I don't know, and don't engage with it, it'll get softer. And you just bringing your attention back. Because at first when you start doing it, it's going to be like, this is hard. Bring your attention back. But like anything, it gets easier as you do it.
It's about working out that mental muscle.
Yeah. So much to think about.
And great advice. I hope you were listening to this. And really,
this might be one of those episodes to listen to more than once, because I feel like there was just a whole lot in there from you, Jason.
Yes, understand it.
I'm glad. The best thing in the world, I think the world would be a much better place if everybody took on mastery of listening. If it was taught in every school, starting in every grade had a mastery of listening section. If it was a major priority in all of our education systems all over the world, we'd live in a much, much better world.
Yeah.
Yes, agreed.
Jason, we have to wrap soon, but can you tell our listeners a little bit about, just briefly, what you do and then how they can find you?
So I'm easy to find. If you put in the coaching hour, you'll find I've got all kinds of stuff all over, and Meetup, my website, and that sort of thing. And I do, if you want, I do webinars. My focus is on small business owners for my coaching practice. So I work with those people that are selling something invisible. I work with a lot of consultants, creatives, that sort of thing, to support them in really building a business, a six-figure.
Which is, most of us in the wedding industry fall into that broader category. So.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And so that's really where I put my focus, is like really really working on standing for them and giving them the tools that they need to be able to build that business. Because knowledge is great. It's ubiquitous, it's everywhere, and it's free. And so I can confidently tell you guys, and you probably know this yourself too, everything you need to know about selling and running your business and being really good at it can be found online. And then there's implementing it. And that's the catch. That's the catch. Because you run into these things called your preconceived ideas, your beliefs about sales or being sales, who you are, what you can charge, and what you think that you're worth, and when you're attached to it, all this psychological stuff that goes in that gets in the way of implementing pretty basic fundamentals of business and being successful in business. It's our humanity that gets in the way. And that's where the coaching comes in. And the coaching moves you through those spaces so you can have the courage to get through and past all of that, So you can really truly have what you want and be confident and great about it, just like you think about, when you guys think about, because I know that you went through, like I did, a period of growth where you kept raising your rates and raising your rates and raising your rate over time. You didn't just go, okay, I'm $700 today, I'll be $5,000 tomorrow, right? Build tolerance for it, and go through the emotional spaces of like, I'm gonna hold my breath. Oh my gosh, am I really? And now from the place at which you charge now, if I said, hey, would you come and do something for $1,000? You'd be like, what would your reaction be?
Maybe for you, I don't know. No.
so as a good friend, only because I love you, but you're right. It's like, no, I really don't need for anything that low. But if you put yourself back in the position when you were bumping from 750 to 1,000, you know what I mean? You had to move your mindset. You had to move.
Yeah, absolutely.
It takes time to move all of that. And then you will stand in that confidence, the new confidence kind of thing. It's an evolution. And so it's a beautiful thing to see people like work at and move through those spaces, because it really takes a lot of courage.
If you want to create your own evolution, get a hold of Jason. He will get you there. Jason, thank you so much for being on the show today. Greatly appreciate you being a part of it, and great wisdom you shared here today.
Awesome. It was a blast. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
Being a part of what you guys do. I think you're doing a lot of great good in the world, and really making a big difference for people to be able to have the success that they want and what they want in life. So I applaud that and appreciate that.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
What a great interview with Jason Jones. Oh my goodness.
He's so great.
He is. And what I loved are the 3 levels of listening that he dove into with us.
Yes, you didn't have to wait for a seminar at a conference to hear him and get those levels. Yeah.
And how he talked about letting go of judging.
Yeah, that's huge. I think that's why these conversations like the one I mentioned with him feel so unique, is because most people are not good at that. We're always formulating opinions and judgments about people. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you want more information on Jason,
lots of challenges.
coachinghour.com, thecoachinghour.com will get you information on Jason. Great guy, great coach, and someone you need to have in your life to turn to when you want to grow your business. Thanks, Jason, for being on the show. This is Creating Connections Podcast, episode 139. I'm Mitch Taylor.
And I'm Vicki Musney.
And our goal is to provide personal solutions through understanding people. We hope we helped you do that with this episode. Thanks for watching.
Have a great week.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Creating Connections podcast with Gitomer Certified Advisor Mitch Taylor and Certified Personality Trainer Vicki Musney. For more information on providing personal solutions through understanding people better, visit creatingconnections.biz.